Arthur Fleck, the infamous Joker, navigates life in Arkham Asylum while gaining a twisted romance with fellow inmate Harleen Quinzel. As Arthur's trial for his gruesome murders unfolds, explosive twists and betrayals lead to a chilling finale that blurs the lines between reality and delusion. Spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a fun, Looney Tunes-style cartoon called Me and My Shadow. It shows Arthur Fleck enjoying his fame as the Joker. Just before a live show, his shadow comes to life, taking his clothes and tries to take over his personality and trapping him inside a cabinet. The shadow performs on stage as Arthur escapes, then merges back with him. Suddenly, police officers arrive and brutally beat Arthur. The scene then shifts to Arkham Asylum, where Arthur has spent the past 2 years for killing Murray Franklin on live TV, as well as 3 men on the subway and his former co-worker Randall. He is mistreated by the guards, especially a cruel one named Jackie Sullivan. Arthur takes his medication and gets a shave from a guard who accidentally cuts him near his mouth. On his way to meet his lawyer, Arthur sees Harleen. She then mimics shooting herself by pointing her finger at her head like a gun and pretending to pull the trigger. He then meets with his lawyer, Marianne Stewart, and his social worker, Deborah Kane. They think he has a split personality disorder and that Joker committed the murders. Arthur's crimes were made into a TV movie, gaining him some followers and admirers, including fellow inmate Harleen Lee Quinzel. In the prison yard, a young inmate approaches Arthur because the guards told him Arthur could teach him how to kiss. The guards are betting on whether Arthur will get angry, but instead, Arthur stands up and kisses the young inmate. He then goes up to the guards, and Jackie tells him that he's enrolled Arthur in a music class. During a music therapy session, Arthur realizes he is attracted to Lee, who reveals she's in Arkham for setting her parents' apartment on fire. They bond over their dark sense of humor, and she admits she admired him after seeing him kill Murray on TV. Back with the group, they watch a news report about District Attorney Harvey Dent seeking the death penalty for Arthur. When asked how he feels, Arthur daydreams about singing For Once in My Life, driven by his growing feelings for Lee. The scene ends with Arthur laughing uncontrollably in the rain. Arthur's lawyer calls him and advises him not to give any statements to the press. While on the phone, a guard hands Arthur a book to sign, saying it will be worth a fortune after Arthur is executed. Hearing this, Arthur changes his message to the guard to, "I hope you get cancer." The inmates gather to watch That's Entertainment. In the middle of the show, Lee starts a fire, causing chaos as everyone runs. Amid the commotion, Lee kisses Arthur and sings the theme song. They try to escape Arkham together, but are caught at the gates. Arthur is thrown into solitary, laughing crazily, and imagines himself and Lee dancing on a rooftop. Arthur wakes up to find Lee in his cell. She tells him she's being sent home because of their relationship. Lee promises to attend his trial every day and wait for him to get out. Before leaving, she puts Arthur's Joker makeup on him, and they have an intimate moment for the first time. The next day, Marianne goes with Arthur for a televised interview with Patty Myers. Arthur hopes to reveal the Joker persona, but Marianne insists he be called by his real name. Patty asks Arthur about the murders, but Arthur wants to focus on how he's changed. Patty also mentions Arthur and Lee's romantic escape attempt. Arthur begins singing Bewitched, which everyone at Arkham watches. Meanwhile, Lee watches with a crowd outside a TV store, breaks the glass, and steals a small TV. Arthur's trial begins with hundreds of fans gathered, including Lee outside the courthouse. Dr. Victor Liu testifies that Arthur is faking his mental illness and committed the murders by himself, though he admits Arthur has a traumatic past. Marianne presents her defense for Arthur. After court, Lee argues with Marianne, claiming they're keeping her away from Arthur. Marianne visits Arthur in his cell, revealing that Lee lied about her past. She's actually well off, lives in the Upper West Side with her parents, and has a degree in psychology. Marianne warns Arthur that Lee is manipulating him, but Arthur just has another musical fantasy about them, ending with Lee shooting Joker in the stomach. Lee visits Arthur at Arkham. He asks if she lied to him, but she twists Marianne's words, making it seem like Marianne is the one manipulating him. Lee then reveals she is pregnant, and Arthur is thrilled, and Lee sings the song Close to You. The next day at the trial, Sophie Demond, Arthur's former neighbor, testifies. She describes her unsettling encounters with Arthur and the harassment she faced from his followers and the press. Sophie also mentions conversations with Arthur's mother, Penny, about his failed dreams of being a comedian. Arthur imagines singing the Joker, attacking the jury and judge in his fantasy, and then blowing his brains out. He interrupts Sophie to fire Marianne and decides to represent himself, earning cheers from his supporters. Lee visits Arthur in his cell, expressing her pride in him and telling him that as the Joker, he can do whatever he wants. Back at Arkham, the inmates cheer for Arthur and sing When the Saints Go Marching In, angering the guards and creating chaos. Judge Rothwax reluctantly agrees to let Arthur represent himself while wearing his Joker makeup and suit. Next, Arthur's former co-worker, Gary Puddles, testifies about witnessing Arthur murder Randall. Gary explains that the murder deeply traumatized him, especially since Arthur was the only person at work who had ever been kind to him. Arthur then passionately declares that he won't let his tormentors hold him back and and feels free as the Joker. Arthur imagines another musical performance with Lee. Arthur is taken back to Arkham, where he is beaten and assaulted by Jackie and 2 other guards because of his earlier rant. After being thrown back into his cell, a young inmate named Ricky, who has supported Arthur, begins singing for him. However, Jackie goes to Ricky's cell and strangles him to death, something Arthur hears. Meanwhile, Lee puts on makeup to look like a female version of the Joker for the final day of Arthur's trial. During the closing statements of the trial, Arthur admits he no longer wants to be the Joker, revealing he is simply sad and exhausted. He also confesses to smothering his mother. Disgusted, Lee and other followers turn on him and leave the courthouse. Arthur later leaves Lee a voice message, singing to her one last time. The verdict is announced, and Arthur is found guilty of all murders. He starts laughing hysterically, and a victim's family member tries to attack him, causing chaos. A car bomb explodes, creating a huge hole in the courthouse and severely burning Dent's face. Arthur tries to escape with the help of 2 Joker followers, but ends up running into the streets alone. He goes to his old apartment and finds Lee. He tries to rekindle their romance, but she says she was only ever in love with the Joker fantasy. She sings to him and leaves, and Arthur is then arrested. Arthur goes back to Arkham, where Jackie tells him he has a visitor. As Arthur follows him, an inmate who admires Arthur's Joker persona approaches and tells him a joke. When he reaches the punchline, "You get what you fucking deserve," the same words Arthur said to Murray before killing him, the inmate repeatedly stabs Arthur in the stomach. As Arthur bleeds out, he imagines himself in one last musical number with Lee, where she shoots him. The inmate then carves a Glasgow smile into his own face, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for our next movie.